Welcome to the College Football Bros podcast. I am Michael Newman, and I'm joined by the brother who thinks In-N-Out is overrated.
Sure do. That's me, Ryan Newman.
And by the other brother who thinks Ryan's overrated.
Absolutely. That's me, Trey Newman.
We false.
All right.
Very false.
We have finally made it to the New Year's Six. Before we break down those 6 bowl games, be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at CFP Bros. Give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel where we are currently on right now. You can see us looking very hot, if I do say so myself.
Dapper.
Yeah.
Trey's got a flesh-colored shirt on. So.
Yeah, Trey's shirt really threw us for a loop because it looks like he's naked. So
It's actually
check us out on YouTube and sort of see Trey naked. Oh, it's a Heisman shirt. That's awesome. There you have it. So subscribe to us there. We've got 3 new videos coming out, YouTube only videos this week. So check those out. And let's get into the playoff games. We've made it. So on Friday, January 1st, we've got the Rose Bowl. It's going to be in Arlington at Jerry World because, of course, COVID restrictions in Pasadena. Notre Dame versus Alabama. The Crimson Tide are favored 20. What do you think, Ryan?
I'm just glad we made it, man. Just glad we made it. I didn't think, I didn't know we'd be here 3 months ago or what, it's so
yeah,
glad we have these games to look forward to. As far as what I think about the game, we've kind of touched on this a little bit already. But 20-point spread, that's not sure we'll see much larger than that in a playoff game. Is that the largest? I should have checked on that. I think this is the largest, right?
Yeah.
All right. 20 points is quite a bit, but even though it's the biggest, I still am not going against Alabama here. They have just been firing on all cylinders, and the teams that have been able to kind of give them trip ups this year, Florida, and of course Ole Miss was the other one. They had legit passing games where they had so much talent in that, Florida, obviously, of course, like Tony and Pitts, Jefferson, or not Jefferson. That was a while ago.
Yeah,
Grimes, Copeland, Grimes.
Yeah.
Yes. Those are the types of teams that can give them trouble, that can maybe test that secondary a little bit more, even though that secondary has been much improved. But and then it'll go to Ole Miss. They have legit talent too. That Yeboah and Ely, they have been dynamite. So I don't see Notre Dame having that type of firepower on offense to kind of test that Alabama defense. I think Alabama will be able to kind of smother them without having to worry so much about the deep ball to stretch them. So. And then when you go to flip side, okay, Notre Dame's got a good defense, but this is Alabama's offense. They're going to put up points. You'll be lucky to hold them under 40, even if you're a very, very good defense. So I don't see Notre Dame being able to stick with them for very long. So I'll say Alabama covers the spread here.
That's fair. I mean, it's tough to get in front of this Alabama train, but I'm expecting a few wrinkles from the Irish since they know how they just performed against Clemson. That isn't going to be close to good enough, and they know that. So Notre Dame, they got one of the best offensive lines in football. Really, their only chance here to even pull out a miracle win or to keep it competitive is to slow the game down with this offensive line that they have. Give, of course, Bama, that high octane offense, less opportunities to pull away. We know how lethal they are. Bama's defense has played better, but I think they can be a little vulnerable at times. And Ryan, you made a good point about how obviously maybe Notre Dame's pass attack isn't on par with Florida or Ole Miss's, but I think if the line can move Bama just a little bit, give Kyron Williams a few holes to get loose and extend the game, or I guess shorten the game in this case, Notre Dame can keep it entertaining. Overall, though, I do think Bama's too much, and the Irish secondary has been exposed at times, and there's just too many weapons for the Irish to compete. But I do think Notre Dame's going to get the cover, and I've got Bama just winning 42-24.
Yeah, I'm obviously also picking Alabama to win. Like you guys, I don't think any of us are picking the upset. Notre Dame's defense is good, especially if Kyle Hamilton's ankle is completely healthy for this game in the secondary. And their performance against a really good North Carolina offense this year shows that they are capable of getting stops against a very good offense. But I mean, this Alabama offense is more than just very good. It's like one of the best ever. So like you said, Ryan, you're going to be you're happy if you hold them under 40, which is kind of crazy to say. And the question is, though, can Notre Dame's offense keep up enough to cover? And I think it can. This offense per SP Plus is way better than 2 years ago when they got blown out by Clemson in the playoff. It's way better than that national championship against Alabama in 2012. Those offenses were kind of in the 30s in SP Plus. This year they're 13th. So I mean, they're good. And so I think, not enough to get to 40 and hang with Bama, but I have them scoring 24. Wouldn't surprise me if they scored a little more. So I've got 42-24, same score prediction as Trey, just coincidentally. But that's a Notre Dame cover.
Mine was just 3 points less for Notre Dame, 42 of Alabama, and then 21 for Notre Dame. So we're all right.
Crazy.
I just had a missed field goal from Notre Dame. That's all I had.
What's that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I just had a missed field goal. That's of course, they're going to miss one. Yeah, that's all it is.
Okay, well let's make some bold predictions in this game. So we kind of gave what the baseline, what we expect to happen, but if something crazy happens, what do you think, Ryan?
I kind of fear this game here for Notre Dame, so I'm going to say Alabama will be covering the spread by halftime. They are just going to come out of the gates humming and just kind of put this game over, and it'll be done by halftime. That's what Clemson did to Notre Dame in the ACC title game. They were up 24-3, and they were covering the spread there. And I just think Bama even has an even more lethal offense than Clemson does. So, I think they'll be up, jump on them early, and just ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, I mean, and that wouldn't necessarily surprise me, but again, I think, the narrative is set right now. Notre Dame, they always get blown out in these big games, and they're overmatched, and they're a 20-point dog here. Bama's going to kill them. They might. But I think, I don't know, for some reason, I got this weird feeling that Notre Dame's going to keep it at least a ball game. And I think this is going to be a one-score game in the fourth quarter.
Wow.
Before Bama pulls away.
Wow. I hope. That'd be great to see. I mean, I'd love to see an entertaining game.
I know we've seen too many blowouts in the playoff, it feels like. So hopefully they can keep this one close. My bold prediction is going to throw for more yards in this game than any other game in his entire career. So that means, it's bold. It's what I'm supposed to do here. That would mean he's getting 361 yards, which would beat out his previous 360 against New Mexico last season. And my rationale of why this is, possible is Notre Dame's probably going to be playing from behind for a lot of the game, especially if what happens in Ryan's scenario.
Yeah.
So they might not have the luxury of running the ball a lot like they might like to. And against maybe the three best offenses that Alabama has faced, Florida, Ole Miss, and then A&M, they've all gone over 300 yards passing. So I know Notre Dame certainly doesn't have, I guess, the receiving weapons that Ole Miss and Florida have, but they might have what A&M has with their tight ends, compared to A&M. So I think it's possible.
Yeah, I can see that. I like it.
All righty. Anything else we got from the Rose Bowl coaching matchup?
The Rose Bowl in Dallas
against Saban.
Yeah.
No.
It'll be a trivia question for years to come. Where was the 2020 Rose Bowl played?
Yeah, exactly.
True.
Where was it played?
Well, supposedly it's going to take place in Arlington.
No, it took place in Pasadena.
What'd you say?
It took place in Pasadena.
All right.
2020.
Oh, 2020. Oh, this one's tech.
Oh my god!
Actually, last year there was no 2020 Rose Bowl. Then I think.
Oh
no, last year. No, it was. It was 2020. But good call, Ryan. Wow, that was a trick question.
Well done.
Anyway, let's get to the Sugar Bowl. We got Ohio State against Clemson. Clemson's favored 7.5. What do you think, Trey?
Clemson has kind of owned this new rivalry, and going into this game is kind of weird because you don't hear too many people out there giving Ohio State much of a chance. But I am. This game, to me, obviously it's been well documented about Ohio State's pass defense. They've really struggled in the secondary this year, even with, highly regarded Sean Wade back there. The question is, can they slow down Trevor Lawrence and the Tigers at all? The Clemson has just kicked it up a notch. We've talked about on this podcast since that Notre Dame loss, and since Lawrence has been back, they just like flipped a switch, and they're even better than they were before. But how Ohio State, though, they haven't really been full strength the last few weeks. They missed a couple weeks with COVID. The Big Ten title game, they were missing 20 plus players. Trey Sermon, though, they found, just a stud weapon there. He had over 300 in the Northwestern conference title game against a really good defense. Olave and Garrett Wilson will be back. I think Ohio State's offense can look like they did in first half of the year, where we were just kind of saying their offense is almost unfair how good it is. So I think Fields is going to want to atone for his 2 picks that he had in this game last year. I think Ohio State's going to get the cover, but overall, I think maybe Clemson's balance on offense with Lawrence and Etienne, and then their defense will just push them over the top, but it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think you said it at the beginning there, kind of the key for me. Ohio State's secondary going up against Trevor Lawrence, and a receiving core that maybe is not as good as last year or in years prior, but Amari Rogers is still very solid. Cornell Powell has been a huge breakout player. They've got the young guy EJ Williams, right, breaking out lately. So they've still got a really good receiving core suddenly, and going up against a struggling secondary. And they finally got the running game going at the end of the season against Virginia Tech and Notre Dame there, because they'd been underperforming for pretty much the entire season. Travis Etienne wasn't getting his typical 8 yards per carry. So that was a good sign for Clemson late in the season. To me, the question is, which Justin Fields shows up? Is it the one you just talked about, throwing 2 interceptions against Northwestern? I think he had, I don't even remember how many he had against Indiana, but he had, I think, multiple picks in that game as well. I think 3.
Yep.
So is it going to be that guy, or the guy who was perfect basically in the other games and perfect for most of last year? I think part of the, answering that question is going to depend on the protection, because Clemson has an incredible front 7 in terms of, generating havoc, tackles for loss, sacks. And that's something Ohio State has struggled with this year. Part of that is Justin Fields holding the ball too long as well. So he's got to make quick decisions. Ultimately, I think Ryan Day is gonna put him in positions to be successful. Getting the receiver back, as you talked about, Chris Olave, is going to be huge. So I think they'll hang in there, but Clemson gets the win.
Yeah, I kind of have the same thought as you, Mike. I think Ohio State can hang in there, but this just doesn't feel like they're not firing on all cylinders. I mean, I know they ran the ball well against Northwestern, and I know Northwestern does have a good defense. No doubt about it. They were solid against the run, but nobody's going to confuse this Northwestern defense with Clemson's. Okay, it's a different ball game here when you're going up against this type of talent that Clemson has, and of course, when Clemson's had their full complement of players, meaning when Tyler Davis and James Skalski aren't missing games at Notre Dame, this is a legit defense, and they are extremely hard to run the ball on. So I don't think that Trey Sermon's going to be able to have that much success running the ball, and I do think that Clemson's defensive line, Brian Brzee, and company, they're going to, Miles Murphy. Yeah, thank you. They're going to have just a field day getting to Justin Fields. I do. Oh yeah. No.
Fields day.
Yeah. No pun intended. Yeah. This is just it's a tough ball game here. I wish Ohio State had more time. I wish they had more games. I wish they didn't have so many guys out so they could have more of a time to gel and just kind of work out the kinks. But they just haven't had it. I mean, it makes a difference when you've only had your full complement of players in a few games. Your timing is going to be genuinely off. You're not going to have the rhythm. I just don't think this is the year for Ohio State. I like their talent. If they played a full normal schedule, I'm sure they would have been able to do that type of stuff. But they just didn't. Clemson did. Clemson had plenty of games. I know Lawrence missed a couple of games, but apparently he hasn't missed a beat. He had plenty of time. So I just don't think that this is it for the Buckeyes. So I got to take Clemson.
Okay. All right. So it sounds like Trey and I are taking the points with Ohio State, and you're laying it with Clemson. So yes. Let's make a bold prediction about this one. What do you got, Trey?
So we touched on it, of course, and everyone touches on it about the Ohio State pass defense and how Fields has thrown a lot of picks. 3 Indiana, 2 Northwestern, 2 against Clemson last year. But I'm saying Fields will not throw a pick this game. He's clean, and Lawrence will throw a pick to that Ohio State defense.
Okay. All right. My bold prediction is, so the over-under in this game is 66 right now. I'm going to say 80 points are scored because I have very little doubt about Clemson's ability to put up a bunch of points with Trevor Lawrence against a questionable secondary. And on the other side, Clemson does have the potential to rattle Fields, but there's also the potential that the great Justin Fields shows up with, of course, his receivers we talked about, Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. And it doesn't help that in that first half, Clemson is going to be without their star safety, Nolan Turner, because of a targeting penalty in that conference championship. So maybe they can take advantage of that in the first half.
Yeah, that's true. Nolan Turner is a good point. Maybe you can give him a little leg up. But okay, that'd be a lot of points there. That could happen. Yeah, happen. I like the bold prediction. Yeah, it's just a bold prediction. That's what it's for. Okay, my bold prediction is that Clemson will have more than 5 sacks. So I'm saying they'll have at least 6.
Wow.
They'll have 6 sacks. So I think they're going to jump ahead. I think Justin Fields is going to be put in some tough spots where he's going to have to throw. And some of those guys, Murphy and Brzee, are going to have some moments to tee up on him. And I think they'll be kind of going at him real strong. So six or more sacks for Clemson.
Okay. There you have it. There's the playoff previews. Anything else? Any final words on either of these games, or we good to move on to the other 4 New Year's Six?
I mean, do you guys wish there was like a little more new blood in some of these games? It's like Ohio State, Clemson, Bama. Here we go.
Yeah. Yes and no.
Go ahead. Oh, I'll go. Okay. I was going to say, I think I know you're not disagreeing with this, but these are the 4 teams that probably deserve to be there. Of course, you could have argued with A&M, which I guess A&M technically, of course, would have been new blood, but I don't think I'd be that much more excited for A&M to go up against Alabama than Notre Dame.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, you wish someone else could have came out of nowhere from this year, or even just maybe given Cincinnati a chance would have been at least intriguing. But
yeah,
here we are.
Yeah, I think I've seen some people give Ohio State a little bit of flack here for just being in the playoff, which I don't see the logic in that. I think they truly do just deserve to be there, even though they only played 6 games. Just don't see the logic. Why doesn't Ohio State? Just because it was not their fault they weren't able to play. I mean, if they played, what's the number? If they played 8, all of a sudden they're legit. Like,
yeah, I mean, I can see the argument. Like you look at the resume. If they had played a top 5 team in there and beat them, then I'd be like, all right, they've really proven it. I think they deserve to be in there, but the strongest 2 games on the resume, Indiana, Northwestern, it's not an amazing resume.
Yeah, I mean, it just helped that they got to start so high, because if you take their logo off their uniform and they're just like Team A, they'd be questionable. But we inherently know all of the talent that they have and their priors to know that they're a good team.
Yeah.
So there, I see both sides.
Well, there's another intriguing thing that we didn't bring up is people making that argument that they don't deserve to be here, like Dabo Swinney, who voted them 11th in his coaches poll and has been, him and Ryan Day have kind of been going back and forth. So there's a little bit of bad blood there. And I think, again, motivation in these games, everyone's got full motivation, but if there's a little extra chip on your shoulder, then I'd give that edge to Ohio State, because Dabo's been, I mean, they're going to be like, the players know what Dabo's been saying, and they're going to be pumped up.
Oh, yeah. I would be very, very annoyed if I was a Ohio State Buckeye right now. I mean, I don't see how it would make me play harder. Like, how could I not play it up to my furthest? But I don't know. Let's just say it gives them a little extra motivation.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to, we've got, before the playoff, we've got Wednesday, December 30th, the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, Florida against Oklahoma. Oklahoma's favored 3.
Michael, it's actually been named the Bad Year Cotton Bowl Classic this year.
Oh, that's actually not bad. I'll give you that.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to tweet that.
Thank you.
It's going to be, I mean, it's so bad that it's good, I think.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
It's gold.
No, some of the luster's gone from this game, though, for sure, because Florida's top 4 receivers are going to be out. 3 of them via opt-out, 1 of them because of COVID. Cornerback Marco Wilson also opting out. So they have lost a lot. They were a 3-point favorite before all those opt-outs. They are now a 3-point underdog, like I said. But they've still got the talent. I mean, Naquan Wright, I think, can replace some of the production that you lose with Kadarius Toney. Their 2 backup tight ends combined for 5 touchdowns this year. So they've, of course, had to step up for Kyle Pitts before. Justin Shorter is now the leading receiver. Hey, he was a highly touted
He's got some
recruit.
good catches this year.
He's got over 20 catches this year.
Yeah.
So I think Trask and Mullen can figure out a way to put up points. I'm going to still take OU, though. We know about the offense, and their defense has been playing much better the second half of the year, getting Ronnie Perkins back. Their defense is probably better than Florida's.
Yeah.
It's close.
It's close.
Yeah. I mean, and the spread now, it might to me just seem like a little bit of a market overreaction with all those opt-outs and whatnot. But because I already kind of liked Oklahoma in this situation anyways, Florida coming off back-to-back excruciating losses in a row. Don't really know where their psyche and motivation is to get up for this one to begin with. And OU, they've been just trending in the right direction the last half of the year. With some of the core pieces coming back to next year's team, I feel like they'd like to build on it in the offseason, have a good showing here. And, it's too bad Florida has the mass amount of opt-outs in this receiving corps, because this really could have been an offensive fireworks game. I mean, it still could, but it would have just been next level. That, your 80-point prediction for the other game could have come to fruition here. I think the defense is playing with enough confidence. Rattler's going to put on a show. I'm actually going to lock in the Sooners.
I like it. What you said about the bowl game, about wanting to win it, because I feel like, if you do win your bowl game, it gives you, kind of propels you in the off season. And I feel like OU, like you kind of said, maybe has a little bit more of the, I don't know, maybe motivating factor, maybe the wanting to be here. It's just they were a little younger this year, of course. They were kind of bringing in a lot of new guys. And then they started slow, right? So they didn't, right out of the gate, they kind of knew, okay, we're already out of the playoffs. Like out of 3 weeks, they just we're 1-2, right? So
the what, Ryan? The what?
Playoff. Did I kind of lisped an F there?
All right. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe we'll let the audience decide.
Yeah, there was a little S in there. It was I kind of tried to cut it, but I think it slipped. Yeah, but I feel like they're not heartbroken right now. They're kind of they had got that out of the way real early, so they're coming into this motivated, like you said. I think Spencer Rattler has been playing the best football of the season towards the end here. I like OU here. I think they're going to put up some points, and with all those guys out, I mean, OU is going to be able to get some stops now. So I like the Sooners.
All right, New Year's Day, we've got the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, Georgia -7 against Cincinnati. What do you think here, Ryan?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wish we had a full complement of Georgia players. We don't have it. It looks like I think it's up to 9 players at this point of Georgia guys that are not going to be playing in this game. Whether most of them, I think all of them are opting out for maybe preparing for the draft. But then there was one, I think, who was transferring, and he was a big player. So I won't go through all the guys, but it's prominent dudes. So yeah, and then Cincy, they have nobody right now. They're all at this point. They're all expected to play. So that's a huge thing for me. It's also a motivation factor. I think Cincinnati, of course, really, really does want to be there. I think they're kind of determined to show the country and the playoff committee that they should have at least deserved more of a look. They weren't even really considered by the committee, it looked like, at all. So I think there is a little bit of motivation factor there. So I like Cincy here. I think Desmond Ridder will be solid. I think with some of those guys out from Georgia on that defense, the Cincinnati will be able to move the ball pretty well. And Cincinnati's defense is good, man. I think JT Daniels will be kind of surprised by what he's looking at on the other side of the ball. So I'm going to do this for our boy Kenny. I'm going to make Cincinnati my lock.
Ooh. All right. Yeah. I mean, Georgia, it's kind of crazy. We've talked about this before, and it's kind of an obvious point, but if they had been able to play JT Daniels the whole year or put him in a few weeks earlier, they could have found themselves in the playoff hunt. Even with Stetson Bennett, they were probably a top 10-ish type team. So with JT, you could argue they're top 5 the way he's been playing. The opt-outs hurt for sure, but the big reason I actually like Cincinnati this game is what you said, is we haven't seen JT Daniels go up against an elite defense. Like, he's been great and he's been better than I thought. Like, I definitely underestimated him coming into this year just based on what I had seen his freshman year at USC, but he's clearly improved. He's, got better talent around him now and has played well. But I just think we'll finally see him make some mistakes in this game going up against Cincinnati, one of the best secondaries in the country. They had 3 all AAC first team players in that defensive backfield. 2 of them were second team All-Americans. So they are loaded back there. I mean, even if JT Daniels is as good as he's looked, you'd think they'd force him into some mistakes just based on how good they are. So I actually am going to lock Cincinnati +7 as well.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going against 2 locks here. That's crazy. You got the top 2 SP Plus defenses, I believe here. That's it'll be a fun matchup to watch. I know Georgia does have some opt-outs on that side of the ball, but they still got talent. And this game, it really is one of the hardest for me to pick. Cincy, they've been playing with fire the last couple games. UCF, they could have lost. Tulsa, they easily could have lost at home in the AAC title. Now they're going up in class a little. I just like the way the team is playing with Daniels. I'm fully aware that the competition has been pretty average in the slate that he's faced, but I feel like this is a springboard game. If Georgia's similar to Oklahoma, they lost a couple games early where their season was kind of over, but then they've caught fire here. Like if Daniels decides to come back and they win this game, they're a locked top 5 team going into the next year, and they're looking promising. And Ritter, he's really solid, but he's not exactly invoking fear in a ton of defenses. I mean, that's not a slight on him or a knock on him. He's still very good. But I'm just gonna take the little bit of a talent edge and go with Georgia.
All right, we got January 2nd, the PlayStation Fiesta Bowl, Oregon against Iowa State. The Cyclones are favored 4.5. Trey,
it's crazy that these Ducks are playing in the Fiesta Bowl after their pretty average season, but hey, they did what they had to, and I'm actually going to take them here plus the 4.5. The Cyclones, a little bummed after what was arguably the biggest game in their program's history against Oklahoma. They just came up short, and then last year in the bowl game, Iowa State got trucked by Notre Dame. Pretty this season, he's been great at times, but he'll occasionally make that "what are you doing" play or that throw, and he did that a couple times in the Big 12 championship. I think the Ducks can capitalize. Corner Diamador Lenore, he'll make a play. If Thibodeau doesn't let Breece Hall run wild, I have the Ducks winning or at least covering here.
Yeah, I'm with you here. I'm going to take the Ducks as well. And you kind of mentioned one of the reasons is just because I feel like outside of Big 12 play, Iowa State hasn't been that good lately. Like they lost to Louisiana earlier in the year, and then you mentioned last week. So, and then last year I thought they had an early loss too. I forgot. I can't remember who it was. But I feel like once they get out, they're just not that great. And I like when I saw the Ducks playing in the Pac-12 title game against the Trojans, I did like a little bit of what I saw from that defense, and it looked like they were a little bit more. They brought a little bit more juice in that game. I don't know, maybe it took them a while because they are playing young guys. They had a lot of opt-outs before the year. So, I mean, they had only played 5 games up until that point. So they were still light on experience. But Kayvon Thibodeau, he's a beast. They still have a ton of talent. Sewell at linebacker has been playing really, really well. So, they forced USC's QB.
Slovis.
Hello, Ryan Newman. Well, I don't even like football. Yeah, they forced Slovis into some really, really, really questionable throws, but it was just because there was nothing there. Like they were getting pressure and the coverage was good. So that was a little bit encouraging. And I know the offense wasn't all that great for them, but hoping Joe Moorhead has, with a little bit more time here, can come up with a few kinks to work things, because that Iowa State defense is obviously still pretty good. So, but I'll take the plus points.
Yeah, I'm with you guys, and especially your points, Ryan, about that Oregon defense. It underperformed all year, but suddenly kind of looked the part in that Pac-12 championship. And like you said, they brought the juice. Like they were you could tell they were up for that game.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're up for this one if we're, betting Oregon plus 4.5. And the offense, like it was odd to me. They didn't seem to want to throw with Tyler Shuck in that conference championship game. They didn't seem to trust him. I mean, he had an overall pretty solid season, but he's going up against, I think, by far the best defense he's faced. So that concerns me, but I'll put my faith in Joe Moorhead to figure something out. And take 4.5 against a team that usually plays a lot of close games with Iowa State.
Yep, that's true.
All right, next game we got, it's the last one, the last of the New Year's Six. Saturday, January 2nd as well. It's the Capital One Orange Bowl, Texas A&M -7.5 against North Carolina. And North Carolina's top 2 running backs, who each ran for over 1,000 yards, had ridiculous years. Like if they, I mean, of course we don't want this to happen, but if one of them had gotten injured early in the season, I feel like the other one would have had a shot at the Heisman, because the numbers combined that they put up were insane. Javonte Williams and Michael Carter are those 2 running backs. But yeah, they've both opted out. Their third running back is out with an injury, so they are totally depleted at that position. Their top receiver, who had 1,000 yards, De'Ami Brown, opted out. So Sam Howell has most of his weapons gone. And the defense, which wasn't great to be, top tackler Chaz Surratt. So, of course, that's all reflected in the point spread, but I still feel like maybe not quite enough. I'm going to give the 7.5 with A&M. I think they're going to control the game on the ground. North Carolina's defense against the better teams on their schedule got gashed on the ground. So I look for Isaiah Spiller to have a big game, and Aggies cover.
Yeah, this game kind of reminds me of North Carolina's game against Notre Dame potentially here. I could see that kind of being a very similar thing. I think Texas A&M has the defensive line to kind of challenge that North Carolina offense and make Sam Howell uncomfortable, especially when you don't have those running backs to kind of maybe keep him a little bit at bay. So I do think that A&M defense, just like Notre Dame did, will be able to kind of maybe not necessarily totally shut down, but make it very hard on that North Carolina offense to move the ball, which we've definitely seen that. And then North Carolina, on the flip side, North Carolina's defense, I guess you said, Mike, it isn't all that great of a defense. I mean, it's not bad, but when you lose your leading tackler and your leading sack getter, that's certainly going to help things. So I could see them being able to have success. So yeah, I'm also going to be taking those 7 or giving those points with A&M.
Yeah, same here. And it is a shame about the Carolina opt-outs, because their best, the Tar Heel best, is on offense is so fun to watch, just because of how balanced they are with both the rushing attack and through the air with Howell. But yeah, there's just too many guys out. And North Carolina, to begin with, their defense is rated pretty average. And so I also think that the Aggies can kind of exploit them, even though they haven't been lighting the world on fire offensively. I think they'll open it up a little bit more here in this bowl game, and then mix that with the fact, of course, that North Carolina offense can only regress. So I'll take the more balanced Aggies.
All right, there you have it. That does it for our New Year's 6 preview. Thanks for listening to the College Football Bros podcast. We've got another episode that's probably, as you're listening to this, already out. We're going to be previewing the Heisman ceremony, talk about some new coaching hires, and give out some picks in the non-New Year's 6 bowl games. So be sure to listen to those as well. Again, subscribe to us on YouTube and enjoy the playoff games.
You've been watching the College Football Bros. Be sure to subscribe here on YouTube and in your podcast app for college football content all year round. For bonus episodes and access to our Discord chat, join our Patreon at patreon.com/collegefootballbros. Thanks for watching.